Hi there, I'm the Reverend Danny Crosby, a Unitarian minister serving congregations in Altrincham and in Urmston in the northwest of England. And I offer this devotion as a balm for the heart, for the mind, for the spirit, and for the soul. And it's titled Remembering by Heart, Memory. It's a mystery to me. On Tuesday morning, Facebook reminded me of a post from exactly 1 year ago. It was during that late spring heat wave last year, if you remember it. We had quite a lot, didn't we, last summer? Glorious summer last year. Do you remember? Anyway, the message read, enjoyed choir singing from Altrincham Town Hall earlier. I cheered bravo and offered a round of applause when they'd finished. I'd been out walking with Molly and we were enjoying the glorious summer evening. I had one or two worries with me, but as we walked past the town hall twice on the way out and on the way back, the singing lifted my spirits. And when I got home that evening, I posted about it on my Facebook feed. And Rose, who's the leader of the choir, responded to my post. I know her. She attended services at Dunham Road a few years ago. And she invited me to join the choir. And I did. And it's been an amazing year, actually. And last Monday evening, one day short of that first anniversary, although I didn't know it at the time, we sang together a wonderful concert at the Bowden Rooms. It really was a magnificent evening. I'm so glad a year ago I took that walk, and the last year has reawakened a part of my heart and soul that really needed reviving. It was so needed. And what was even earlier in that evening, before I recounted that story, I'd been talking about really what had happened that evening when we were at the choir, how I joined the choir and the whole story of it. And there it was the next morning. I wasn't quite sure of the dates, you see, at the time. But maybe the weather. And we've got this glorious sunshine again, haven't we? So last Monday was my first concert with the choir, as I missed the Christmas one because I needed a medical procedure at the time and I was off for a while. So as we were preparing and learning the songs, and we had to sing without words, you see, and I had some real nerves about, will I remember the words of the songs? My memory's not my strength. I did okay. Most of us did okay. I had no trouble remembering the harmonies and the music. That's all in my heart. I learnt that by heart. But the lyrics, not as much. I think I got about 90% right in the end of those lyrics. Now, several of the choir members, we were all kind of discussing our various struggles with memory and remembering. I mean, I know with songs and with hymns that I sing, I often make up lyrics. I think I improve them actually, but others may disagree. Can be tricky for others following. Now, I was told that one of the other basses in our section only has to read the lyrics once and they are stored in a compartment in their mind. They remember them from just reading them once. Although I have noticed that he doesn't seem to remember the harmonies in quite the same way and sometimes sings something that's not really what we should be singing. Now, I have friends who have memories similar to this man, almost what you might call a photographic memory. I have one friend who tells me that they have compartments in their mind where they store things and can relocate them and find this stored up information. Their minds seem much more like a computer than mine. And you know, we know that people think differently and experience life differently. Baffles me. I'm not aware of what I know. I don't know anything. I walk around with an empty head most of the time. But as soon as my mind or my memory is stimulated, it's all there. It's amazing what is stored in me that I'm not walking around aware of, which I'm kind of glad that I'm pretty empty-headed most of the time. And when necessary or when stimulated by something, it just comes out of me. But I don't know it's there. So a very different mind to those friends of mine that are more that way inclined. I don't know what I know. As I was talking about this, I remembered an example from my school days of an exam, a history exam I took at the end of the year once. I'd be about 14. And I got the most incredible mark, like virtually a perfect mark, which was completely out of line with the rest of my work because I got virtually nothing for the work I did that year. Because I didn't do it, basically. I don't need to go into reasons for that. It baffled my history teacher, actually, how well I did in the exam. And the reason that I wrote such an incredible essay for that exam was that the exam question was based on a radio play that we'd listened to in class. It was something to do with a battle in the English Civil War from what I remember today. Maybe I could recall most of it now. It seems that basically almost every detail, sight and sound and conversation and detail of the battle I'd remembered from just listening to it once. I'd learned it, it kind of went into my heart and I learnt it. It was just there. And then when I sat and did the exam, I just recalled it and got an incredible mark. It kind of tells me something about how I take in life and how it's stored within me. If not in some compartment in my brain, I'm not aware it's there. It's kind of, I would say it's stored in my heart really, but obviously that doesn't make logical sense. But someplace deeper within me than just the brain or the mind. I love how different people, human diversity is far broader and deeper than I think any of us really realise. People operate in so many fascinating and different ways. And it's important to understand that, really. I spoke about in the last devotion I did, this idea of finding like-hearted, not so much like-minded, because people aren't like-minded. And I want to celebrate this. It's a beautiful aspect of our humanity, how different we can be, really. And yet we're made of the same stuff. The longer I share my life with Molly, actually, I become increasingly fascinated in how she takes in the world. And of course, how she takes in the world impacts on how she remembers. How she is with me in the company of others fascinates me also. She understands far more than I give her credit for. Last Sunday was a wonderful example, observing her in the different environments I was in, actually. And she travelled with me to 3 services last Sunday, an extra one at Rivington. And it was fascinating seeing her in that environment. She's been once there before with me, and how before the service begins, she's there seeking attention and seeking fuss and doing what she normally does. And yet, as soon as things begin and she's aware that the service is beginning, she just climbed into her bed, which was kind of laid in the middle of the chapel, actually, and in these bizarre box pews. She doesn't want to go in the box pews. Last time she stayed, she was put in one and climbed out, really. So we put the bed kind of in the middle of the chapel, and she just got in the bed as the service began, and then went to sleep, basically, just laid there, happy to be there. And then when things came to an end, she knew when it was before it ended that it was coming to an end. Obviously, she's heard me do this stuff hundreds of times, but she could sense, I guess, that the end was coming, and she got out of her bed at the end and carried on being as she was. But for the hour that the service was on, she just climbed into her bed and stayed there and didn't move. How does she know these things? Well, she's obviously worked them out herself. I haven't trained her. Like so much of how she is as a dog fascinates me. How she takes in life and responds to life and kind of knows when she can be naughty and mischievous and when she has to behave. Amazing. Now, of course, Molly operates from different primary senses than I do, I guess. It's not that we don't use those senses, humans, it's just that other senses have a greater prominence. And Molly remembers life in different ways, perhaps, than I do to her, really. Her ears and her nose are the key, it would appear, key senses. whereas ours may be different ones. I was out on Tuesday walking with Molly, and I was thinking about memory then. I was thinking all the different ways that memories kind of call us back in our lives, how they come alive within us. Obviously, smell is really significant in a dog, but it is significant in us too. I have been transported to times in my life by my nose, by smell. I do remember a time in being transported to my dad's butcher shop as a child by a smell that hit me in Dunham Massey, and it just took me to being there as a 9 or 10-year-old. It was a bit like Mr. Ben, isn't it, when the man comes and he's suddenly transported on an adventure. It felt a bit like that smell that day. Music has a similar impact on me too, what I hear. Music can take me to times and places in life. So maybe I'm more dog than I realise. Maybe I'm more dog than human, that smell and sound really. Sound is the one for me, actually. I'm attuned to sound and to noise and to changes. And it really connects the soul of me, really. Stimulates me incredibly, actually. I love the way that memory takes us back, how it impacts us so powerfully on the present moment, how memory takes us and impacts on what we're doing in the time that we're in, how it can feed us in the present moment. There's a deep richness to memory that should not be lost, actually. Of course, we shouldn't live in the past, but we cannot nor should we close the door on the past. It won't let us anyway. There's something deep and holy in memory that I don't want to disrespect, and it's a sacred thing, actually. But for me, memory is much more than what just lives in my mind, in my head. Memory is stored in deeper places than just my brain, I found. Maybe not for some people, but certainly me. Yes, okay, my mind, my brain brings memory into being. It's that helps me communicate my experiences. But the experience, there's more going on than just what's going on in my brain. I'm convinced of that the longer I live. How memory changes and takes shape in response to present experiences is powerful too. Memory have a life of their own, which is more than the moment they're experienced within. They're part of the whole of life, really. Memories are more than my own. They're not a possession either. My memories are not mine alone. I love what John Donne has to say, actually, on this concept of memory. What he said spoke to my soul. He talks about memory theatre. He wrote, "My memory theatre is a theatre of all the things as they exist in the soul. I find them all there in the shapes of my longing, the successive shapes that heart's desire has taken in my life. There are stories I heard and loved as a child listening to my grandfather on our front porch on summer's evenings, and there are those I learned afterwards reading by myself. There are songs I heard my mother play on the piano and those I learnt to play myself, improvising and learning to read music. And there are the drawings I saw my father make and those I learnt to make myself with pencil and ink and watercolour. This theatre of memory." Now, of course, as we share our memories, as we recall events and paint pictures and tell stories, the memories themselves alter, they take shape, they take meaning, they're not a static thing. I wonder sometimes when I tell my stories if I'm actually truly remembering the event itself, or I'm just remembering the story I told. Do I really remember? Well, some of it's, I feel it, I guess, but my mind interprets it differently, I think, in time. It takes shape, but the feeling is what is the same. It's very real, actually. I don't see pictures, really, or the pictures don't seem to matter, not like they do in my brother, say, or some friends I have whose memories are all about pictures. They can picture detail, minute detail. I feel memory, actually, and I re-feel memory. Memory comes alive in me, but I don't necessarily see a clear picture. I can't see a clear picture now, other than what's in front of me. And even that actually is not that important. But how it feels, that's what triggers something in me. But others seeing pictures, I understand. That's why in classroom settings for me, if I see an image or a graph, or somebody sends me an image or a graph to explain something, I find it more confusing. It's not helpful to me at all. And yet others need it, I guess that. It's absolutely vital for some people. We think and take in life so differently. It's fascinating. Memory is a mysterious thing, and how we remember just as mysterious. Some folks seem to suggest that they have some level of control over this and over their memories. I don't. They come or they go. They come into being. It's an ungovernable beast like much of life. My memories are formed and reformed over the years, and they take shape constantly. And if I've learned anything about life, how I remember says as much about the state of my current being as what actually happened in the past. It influences how I remember. Gabriela Garcia Marquez put this so beautifully when immortalizing the memory of his own life. These memories, these stories we share about ourselves tend to be how we wish to be seen in this life, actually. It shapes our sense of ourselves. The truth is, though, that our lives are largely shaped not by these incredible memories, but by small, unremembered moments of our lives, that they actually influence us more. We're just not aware of it. It's these things that make up the majority of our life experiences, but we don't think about them. We don't remember them almost. They're happening without memory being formed, or conscious memory, I guess. They're not stimulated in the present moment like the big memories, I guess. And I think that's true for collective memory or collective amnesia too. They're powerfully influenced by what we experience now, just as much as personal ones. Yes, memory is a mystery to me. It's incredible how we can remember with absolute clarity some events from early childhood, while the whole of last week is not there, or it's not there on the surface. I was asked by a friend, I've noticed this actually when people ask me this question, I was asked it the other day. A friend asked me, what you been up to? What's going on? And when he asked me the question, my mind was blank. I couldn't remember anything in that moment of being asked. And yet, as time went on and our conversation together developed, it all woke up inside of me. I shared loads of things that I'd been up to and how I was feeling at the time and interactions with people. I couldn't stop sharing, actually. But it took the stimulation of the conversation to bring the memory of what I'd actually done in the previous week to life. It kind of wasn't there until I was engaged with another. Because the truth of the matter is, for me, and this might shock some of you, most of the time, there's nothing going on in there. There's just no there. It kind of makes me chuckle. And it makes me chuckle when I see the question that Facebook asks, what's on your mind? Well, for me, there's absolutely nothing on my mind most of the time. Empty-headed. Maybe I'm the scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz, I don't know. I sometimes sing it back to Facebook. There's absolutely nothing on my mind. And until I'm asked the question, until I engage, only then does it come alive. But I'm not aware in my mind that it's coming alive. So when my friends who have minds that are different to mine talk about compartments and drawers where they store things, I really don't know what they're talking about. I am not like-minded. Not to them anyway, but I am to others. Now, the other day while I was in meditation, an incredible memory came alive in me. And it comes alive, this memory, every 6 months, I think. It's a recurring, a bit like people have recurring dreams. This is a recurring feeling, a memory feeling that comes to me when I'm relaxed in meditation. Not all the time, but when I'm really in that deep place. And it's a sense of real well-being, of feeling safe and secure and happy, actually. And it's a memory that takes me back to primary school. I'd probably be 8 years old or something. A memory of being sat on the floor with my classmates, listening to the teacher reading that story at the end of the day. I'd be 8 years old. Those stories that have stayed with me throughout my life, from first hearing them. I remember first hearing the Stone Soup story and it being with me ever since. It's one of my favourites, still is. As have some of those songs that we sang when we were children at those kind of concerts we did, a bit like the choir now, but in a children's choir in primary school, how they're in me. I can start singing them and it just comes out of me. Now, what's interesting about that setting at school is I have no picture of what the class, I have a vague notion about it, but I can't picture it in my mind. It's just not there. I know we were sitting on the floor and we were lying down, some of us, and some were even falling asleep, I guess. But I can't really picture it properly. But what is alive in my being, in my memory, is how it felt. And this feeling, or this sense of well-being, which of course when I feel that now, it takes me back to that feeling as a child, which maybe much of my childhood I didn't feel. But in that moment, it felt lovely. It felt safe. It felt secure. It felt relaxed. It felt peaceful. It felt tranquil. It was serenity. I was at peace and at one. So of course it stayed with me, because it didn't feel like that very often. Memory is a mystery to me. It fascinates me how these memories take shape and take form and often reshape as time goes by. It amazes me how these memories seemingly reincarnate as time goes by. In fact, in many ways, I'm going to say some ways, but actually in many ways, it's memory that brings the moments I'm experiencing now to life. As it did in that moment of meditation, it enhanced it. It was just that feeling that we're all searching for, I guess. Well, I'm searching for. Now, despite all I'm saying, though, if you were to ask me right now, say, what was I doing last week? If I was to just think about it, I wouldn't recall it. If I was to just sit and think about what I was doing, it would be quite difficult for me to capture the memory. But as soon as we begin to engage and talk about other things, and maybe about somebody shared about their own experiences, it would then come to life, the memory. But when I stop and think about it, there's not a lot going on in there. And yet it's there and vivid. And I can, it's amazing what's stored in there, but I'm not aware it's in there. And it's almost like it's not here. That just translates. It's deeper in the soul of me. I don't know where it's stored. You know what? I can't remember how many things I've forgotten in the last week, but it's a lot. Joking aside, of course, we all forget things, and even more so as we get older. And then, of course, beyond that is dementia, and the most cruelest for Alzheimer's disease, which attacks the cortex of the brain, forming bundles of tangled plaque that inhibit conversation between the neurons. As it takes away a person's identity and history, as aspects of their humanity drift away, the cruelty of dementia. And the longer all of us live, the more likely we are to be a victim of dementia, of some form or another. The thing about dementia, and particularly Alzheimer's, is while the person forgets and loses who they are, those who love them never do. Those who share the memories with them hold that love. Those feelings are felt, and I think the feelings are still felt in the person too, but in that deeper place, the problem being they just can't get to them. But they're there, waiting to somehow be reawakened. That love is immortal, it is eternal. Of that I am certain. Reminds me actually of some words from the book of Isaiah, chapter 49, verses 15 to 16. Can a woman forget her nursing child, or show no compassion for the child of her womb? Even these may forget, yet I will not forget you. See, I have inscribed you on the palms of my hands. Your walls are continually before me. And for whatever reason I cannot recall, they're not words that I think about much. Those words came to me last Monday at the concert, or in the interval, in the element, or at the end of the concert actually. As we said farewell or au revoir to our choir leader Rose as she's about to go on maternity leave, we gave her some gifts. Those words came to me actually. The concert was a great send-off for her and will stay deep in her memory, I'm sure. She will, of course, return to us, and other leaders will keep us going in order in the meantime, including one who's returning after a difficult time. I was thinking of Rose actually, and how her life will change forever as she begins her journey of motherhood, a new journey. How her past memories and the meaning of her past memories will change as she experiences a life in a completely new and different way. Her life will never, her and her husband's life will never be quite the same again, actually. As a child dominates them, as their life, their whole experience of life will change, and therefore their memory of their past life will take on new meaning. It will reshape and reform, for it does. So I was thinking, and I thought of my own life and my own lifelines, I guess. Those lines on the palm of my hands, different on each hand actually, different, affected by different things. This one has scars, this one doesn't. How life has touched my life and touched my hands. And I was feeling connected to all those that have touched my life, that are part of my lifeline. And I thought of those whose lifeline I have been a part of, those that will live on beyond me actually. This ever widening and including circle that draws more in. And I thought of those words from Isaiah again, for aren't such feelings truly divine? Isn't that part of the divine love? I think so. Memory forming and reforming. Memory is an utter mystery to me, as is much of life, if I'm really honest. The diversity of all of life, of all creation, is so beautiful, including every single beautiful person. Something I've been re-feeling more deeply again this week. I am so grateful to be part of this incredible mystery that is life itself. Something I get to share with the people I know and love. Oh, I do. And I get to feel the sensation of the memories coming alive in me again, in my body and my spirit, my soul. And how they expand on the experience of my life. I am so grateful to have experienced this, the most amazing trip that anyone could ever go on. Thank you. Thank you for being part of it. Here's a little bit of Mary Oliver. Just a beautiful piece, a short piece, just to end this devotion with. So this is When Did It Happen by Mary Oliver. When did it happen? It was a long time ago. Where did it happen? It was far away. No, tell, where did it happen? In my heart. What is your heart doing now? remembering, remembering. For the heart always remembers, even if the mind does not. Even when the mind is gone, the heart remembers. It lives on. But enough of that. Hope you remember this. I'm going to end with some words of blessing. You know, we need to bless more, and we can all bless, and we bless by giving ourselves wholeheartedly to life. So let's give our hearts wholeheartedly. I offer these words of blessing to end this devotion. May the Eternal bless you and protect you. May the Eternal smile on you and favour you. May the Eternal befriend you and prosper you. And may we carry the song of the Eternal with us. And may we do so in all that we feel, in all that we think, in all that we say, in all that we do. Amen.